My amplified unit, top of the morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, time to wake up, and get amplified. Red team, go! Salute! Now we're gonna have to talk about some roster changes on the WWE roster page anyway. Some people brought back, some people taken off, a few accidents made. A pair of legends returned. It's a little bit of a mess over on the WWE roster page. We're going to decipher that in a minute. And we're also going to talk about the latest injuries. Some huge injuries for WWE superstars going into Royal Rumble and subsequently WrestleMania season. But before we get into that, I have the answer to everybody's question over the last 48 hours. A lot of people thought that it was Shotzi with MJF on Wednesday night's Dynamite up in the skybox. That beautiful lady that was with MJF, who MJF called the only hot girl in Colorado, I think he said. But guys, that was obviously not Shotzi. We didn't have the identity of this young lady until now. Her name is actually Daddy Doom. And it looks like she is a wrestler on the indies. There is photos anyway. I don't know if she's an entertainer of other sorts as well, because she easily could be from what I'm viewing. Her last posts are as follows. This is Daddy Doom, the lady that was with MJF this past Wednesday night. She says, "The devil knows the safe word." She also says, "To those of you who love, worship, and adore Daddy Doom, keep up the good work. And to the smooth-brained morons and impotent nitwits who dare to oppose me, please read this next line slowly and carefully. I wouldn't piss on your gums if your teeth were on fire." Okay, well, that's BC's introduction to Daddy Doom, and I will not forget that introduction. Salute to Daddy Doom. Definitely a beautiful young lady who does not take any bullshit, clearly. And she's got one hell of a fucking character if anybody wants to sign her up. So anyway, that was not Shotzi, it was Daddy Doom. Now, we know that it was not Shotzi, but you would be surprised how many people honestly thought that was Shotzi, guys. And I guess you could see the resemblance for sure. Now, let's get back into a more serious note, and these are some serious injuries over on the WWE front. Number one, Kevin Owens is still wrestling and working through that knee injury that he suffered several weeks back at a house show. He then went into War Games Survivor Series, competed with that busted up knee, became even more busted up, and he's been working through that ever since. Tonight is a big match for Kevin Owens. He's tagging up with the returning John Cena to take on the Bloodline's Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Now, it's huge because of, obviously, the importance of the match. John Cena coming back. He's taking on Roman and Sami. Live SmackDown, we get it. But it's more important because he's got to carry the match for his team. John Cena has a lot of big movies, a lot of big projects coming up. And you know that he promised all of them that his work will be limited. The 5 moves of doom, maybe he'll take a little bit of a whooping, some stomps, some punches, things like that. But we're not expecting John Cena to go out there and put on 20 minutes of flips and power bombs and Canadian destroyers. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that from Cena. This was supposed to be Kevin Owens carrying the load. Now, he's still working through this injury. Cena is going to be limited. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Is John Cena going to call an audible and say, listen, I know I promised my agents and Hollywood producers that I wouldn't do X, Y, and Z, but are they really watching? I'm going to take the gamble. And maybe Cena does more tonight. Maybe Owens says, fuck it. I did it at War Games. I'll do it again tonight. I'll carry the load. But it remains to be seen. Kevin Owens fighting through that knee injury. AJ Styles just recently, I think this was just last night, AJ Styles suffered an ankle injury, and it looked to be severe enough for the ref to call for the X at the house show. He called up the X. Docs came out. He worked through it to the end of the match. We don't know if they called an audible or not. And then he was helped, not on his own accord. He was helped to the back. by ring officials and docs. So it looks to be a severe enough injury, at least a severe ankle sprain, which would take him out for several weeks. And if it's a break, you're talking about months. And that's sad to see. It's even sadder to see how AJ Styles has been booked the past couple of years, holding the hand of Omos for months and months. And then just in these weird, you can't even call it a feud. It was just redundancy with Judgment Day that really led to nothing. And even at that house show, it was him and the Good Brothers taking on Judgment Day. Again, they don't really know what to do with Styles. I miss the old school AJ Styles that was main eventing, the dude that was in the spotlight. That AJ Styles is best for business, and I still believe to this day he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. WWE just has failed to utilize him as such. Vince McMahon, VKM, and Paul 3H's Levesque has failed AJ Styles. I truly believe that. And it's one thing to make room for the younger generation coming up, but it's not his time to step aside. It hasn't been for the last 2 years, and I still don't feel it is. So to see him get this injury, it sucks to see. And I hope when he does come back, there's not a repackaging that's needed, but I hope there's a reset button that's pushed, and I hope we get that main event AJ Styles back. And another injury, unfortunately, is Bray Wyatt. Upon his return, he is wrestling again at the house shows, started back up at MSG, New York City, home of the New York Knicks, and he looks like he broke his finger. He was, even with the broken finger, he was taking pics and saying what's up to fans around ringside, and he stopped to take some selfies and some videos, and he was gingerly shaking hands, and he showed one of the people taking a video. He's like, yeah, I would do more, but this is what I'm working with. And one of his fingers is like bent 2 different ways. So it looks like it's a pretty bad break. But so it's minor enough that he will still be competing and take on full throttle his LA Knight feud and storyline, and it looks like he will be competing at Royal Rumble in some way or form, but it looks like a gnarly break on that finger. So we wish the best for Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and Bray Wyatt. Some injuries more severe than others. All of them suck, especially going into Rumble/WrestleMania season. We wish them all the best. Now, let's go on to the roster news. Big roster changes here. There's a lady who's been brought back, and she is now officially back on the roster page, and she is officially, I believe, part of the Raw brand is what I saw, with her husband, The Miz. Maurice is back on the active full-time roster. Now, you guys know she signed a deal before December of last year, which sent her and The Miz into a mixed tag match. I believe it was the day 1 event for the following month, or the first day of 2022. So she signed that deal. We weren't sure if it was a 1, 2, or 3 year deal, or how often she would be competing or showing up. And then, before the start of this month, she was taken off the roster page. It was pretty clear she signed a 1 year deal, or at least that's what we thought, because she was taken off the page. Maurice had fulfilled her commitments for 1 full year, starting before December of 2021, when she was put on the page, and taken off right before December of this year, end of November. Basically, that would fulfill a full year of commitment. Now, here we are a few weeks later, and she has been put back on, not the alumni page, the actual full-time roster page, man, for WWE Raw. So does this mean they came to terms on a new contract with Maurice, which clearly that's what it looks like, or it was a drastic mistake? She signed 2 or 3 years, and they fucking took her off after 1, and they were like, oops. And then they put it back on. It looks like they renewed some type of a deal, which leads us to believe that Maurice will be coming back to tag up with her husband Miz in mixed tag action, and or Maurice will be coming back to compete solo competition, not solo Sikoa, but solo action. I'm getting fucking Sikoa and Maurice now mixed up. She's going to come back in a solo role. Would you guys even want to see that? I know I would. I actually really got behind Maurice, and I know there's a lot more there, but she wanted to do other projects. That's why it was a mutual release many years ago, if you guys remember. She was released. A lot of people were shocked. She said, no, it was more mutual. They knew I had so many projects I wanted to do, and under WWE's contract, the way they structure their contract, I wasn't able to do that. So She said it was more mutual, and then she re-signed this deal last year, or signed a new deal, had that match with Miz, showed up a couple of times on our Monday Night Raw to progress Miz storylines, and that was really it. That was her whole year contract. Then she was taken off the roster page, and we weren't sure if she was going to re-sign a contract. She did. She's brought back on the main page. This leads us to believe that she has dates that need to now be fulfilled. I don't want to just see her tagging up with Miz. I want to see her in Solo Sikoa action. I shouldn't say that. People are going to think I want her against Solo Sikoa. But I want to see her in solo competition. I think there's a lot more to see in Maurice. There's a lot more potential there that even she hasn't tapped into, that she doesn't even probably know right now. I mean, I saw so many great things from her, and then boom, it was just like she was gone. She just had other projects, like she said, and she wanted to do them and also start a family, and she just felt restricted by WWE. Clearly, the deal that she signed last year, what was that, a 5-date contract? She showed up for maybe one match and then maybe 3 or 4 other appearances, and I'm being generous. And boom, there's the year. And then she was taken off, contract over, and here we are. Is it another 5 appearance deal? Is it one match with Miz and then 4 appearances to help Miz's storylines, and that's it? Great for her. Get that money. Support that family, girl. But I just think there's more untapped potential there. And I don't even think she needs to be tied to the hip of the Miz. So anyway, guys, that's big. Maurice is back on the active roster page. She was gone for a while. She is back. That leads us to believe you're going to be seeing her a lot more, hopefully a lot more in 2023. Let me know how you guys feel. Is that a big signing or not? Do you think there is potential there? Do you think, there's enough women, we need to concentrate on them? What the fuck are they doing with Candice LeRae? What are they doing with Mia Yim? What are they doing with Van Halen? Sarah Logan? What are they doing with Damage Control? Just everybody right now. Let me know what you guys think, man. But Maurice, it looks like she signed a new deal, or they just made a drastic fucking mistake. And speaking of mistakes, over the last 48 hours, Mandy Rose was put back on the active roster page, guys. Now, it's all been cleared up. As of this morning, she is off of the official roster page, back on the alumni. This made a lot of people think that they were talking again and maybe even re-signed with the WWE. Not the case at all, and BC would have heard something about that. I do have some people that know a lot more than BC down in Florida that would have tipped me off, especially when it comes to the NXT brand and somebody like Mandy Rose. Guys, that is not happening. It has been corrected. As of this morning anyway, Mandy Rose is back on the alumni page. Again, confirming that she has been released by WWE. There's no more question marks on that. And she was already on the alumni, by the way, within the last week. But to be put back on the roster page, many people were like, what the fuck? No, she is back on the alumni. She is officially released. BC went over to her social page just to see what she's saying about it, if anything. And her only post is from this morning, a few hours ago, and she put, it was just a sexy photo. She's in like lingerie or maybe a swimsuit, very sexy. And her caption was, "Good morning, what's for breakfast? Purple hearts." And BC was thinking, well, I'm sure a lot of people have some ideas of what they want for breakfast after seeing that fucking photo. So what I'm saying is Mandy Rose is easily doubling and tripling down on the sexy content. So it looks to be just a mistake. The Maurice thing does not look to be a mistake. That was absolutely done by design via contract. I mean, she was off for weeks, put right back on, and this coincides with when she signed her contract previous. So it looks like there was just some kind of re-signing or total restructuring. Maybe she's coming back for more dates. Maurice it looks to be a legit signing by WWE officially on the main page. The Mandy Rose situation looks to be a mistake. Hopefully that's all cleared up. Now I'm not done with the roster page. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are wondering too, the latest we're hearing on the release is exactly what BC was hearing over a week ago. It wasn't just the fact that she had a third-party site and was putting up sexy content. The word we're getting is she was released because it was getting so risky. The content was becoming so risky that it was absolutely becoming a sponsorship problem, an advertiser problem. It could be anyway down the road. They did not want to fuck with that. So, I mean, you could still blame WWE because for years, they prospered, right? They gained in financial revenue by putting the ladies in those type of circumstances and situations. So you could totally say it's WWE did that for so many years, and now it's a problem. I totally understand that, but you also have to look at it as it is clearly, whether you look at it as unfortunate or not, it's a totally different WWE these days, and they care about the sponsorships and advertisers now more than ever. And if they thought it was just getting to the point where it was getting so risky and she did not want to play at all with WWE by the rules, then maybe you start saying, damn, Mandy could have helped her cause a little bit more. I don't know. We don't have all the facts. We just know what we know, which is it got so risky, WWE pulled the plug. She is back on the alumni page. She is officially released. WWE is confirming that by putting her on the alumni page. That's what that means for those of you that don't know. That's what the alumni is. Now, when I say there's more roster news, it's because Sasha Banks and Naomi are still on the public main roster page. What that means, guys, is no matter what they have planned for Japan, at least Sasha Banks anyway, whether it's Wrestle Kingdom or we're hearing something huge for Stardom. She's over in Japan taking photos, or at least photos with famous Japanese rappers we're hearing. So she's going all in with the Japan aspect of her career starting in January. But it doesn't matter if it's February, March, April, May, June, July, going through 2023. If you see her still, and Naomi, still on the main public roster page for WWE, that means they are still under contract. And some way legally, Triple H, Paul 3 H's Levesque, Vince McMahon still has them under contract somehow. Until you do not see them on the public main roster page, guys, they're still somehow tied to WWE contractually. And that's a legal thing. That's why we go by the roster page so vividly. Every single day, many times a day, it is adjusted and it is updated, that roster page. I mean, the second Tegan Knox got hired, she was right on it. Mia Yim and Sarah Logan, but within 24 hours. People take Mandy Rose, within 48, she was taken off. The mistake, obviously, with the put back on the main roster and then put back on alumni. So at times there's mistakes. But it is constantly updated throughout every single day because that's for legal purposes, guys. That's not just for us so we know who's on the roster, trust me. It's for legality reasons. That's a huge lawsuit and legal headaches for Vince McMahon and WWE. If they're promoting people on their main page as part of their company and roster, and they're not. Sasha Banks and Naomi are very much still with WWE. And I just don't see how Vince would and even Paul Levesque, I mean, there's people above him that would have to make these decisions, whether it's a Stephanie, a Nick Khan, or a VKM, who's still the majority shareholder in ownership, has all the voting power, all that shit, 81% anyway. There's no way that I would see them just letting them ride out 2022, just to go to Japan, do all that, just to show up in AEW on January 11th to be Paige's mystery a partner. I just don't see how that's happening. I mean, if they knew that, they would freeze the contracts, and whenever they come back to wrestling, they would then make Sasha and Naomi play out the rest of their contract, because legally they would have to, because legally they can freeze the contracts. Something more is at play here. Are they just letting her fulfill her dreams over in Japan, and then she's going to return? And if that's the case, why would she file all the trademarks under her new name? I forgot what the name even was, like Mo Money Mercedes or some shit. I don't know, but she's trademarking a whole different fucking name. Some of it under her real name, Mercedes. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever come across in pro wrestling. And as a big Sasha Banks fan, and this is a pro Sasha Banks channel, it's just odd that it has to do with Sasha Banks, and we don't know. But I watch that roster page vividly, guys, because that will tell us everything. The day you don't see Sasha Naomi on that page, guess what? She's no longer under contract with WWE. But as of today, SmackDown's tonight. What is today? The 30th, I believe, of December, Friday. They're still part. And we're talking about all the things they're going to be doing in January. And a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, but BC, January 1st or January 10th, her contract will end with WWE, BC, and then she's going to be doing everything else. Again, would WWE just let her just run out her contract and not appear at all and not freeze it just so she can go? It seems like WWE would be more petty. Or are they trying to play nice so that she does come back? If it's just Japan, I don't think 3H's and even VKM would care that much. But the possibility to show up in AEW, I think would make VKM freeze that contract. Anyway, they are still on that public main roster page. And if anybody gives a shit, I know I do, Demolition has been put back on the alumni page. So while I was going over the Mandy Rose notes, making sure she was back on there, or she's signed back on with WWE. No, she's back on the alumni. And while I was there, I saw Demolition. It's so good to see them. They were there twice before and instantly taken off. It's almost like Vince found out and then he fucking had him taken off. If you guys know, Demolition was part of a big lawsuit against WWE, and Vince never forgave them. And a lot of people think that there's they should have been front runners in the Hall of Fame. And it's a shame. It's one of my favorite tag teams growing up. One of the most dominant tag teams in the history of the world of pro wrestling. And it's a shame that they've been, how they've been treated and ousted and just blackballed. And right when you see them there, it's almost like some fucking, some new hire is like, well, I just noticed Demolition's not in our alumni. And it's almost like Vince finds out and is like, get them off and you're fired. But it's so cool to see Demolition back, man, on that alumni page. And I hope this isn't one of those things where Vince is going to find out and take him off. They hired another new fucking intern. He puts Demolition on and then Vince fucking takes him off and then fires the poor intern. I hope that's not one of those scenarios, man. It's so good to see Demolition on that alumni page. And I hope if this sticks, if they stay there for at least a while, maybe people are starting to fucking change their mind and go, you know what? We have to treat them exactly how they should be, like a fucking dominant tag team that really helped tag team divisions going forward in WWE. And sadly, we don't even have one in WWE today. We could only fucking dream to have a team like Demolition today. I wish today's generation had a Demolition like we did. Anyway, guys, that's what I got. And, if I may, one more thing, that I would like to discuss, and that is William Regal. He just officially said his goodbye to AEW, and I mean like an official goodbye up on his, social media. And if you don't mind, the only way to do this justice would be to actually, quote him on this. So he says, and this was just a couple of hours ago from the filming of this actual recording in this video, guys. William Regal says, and I quote, "Yesterday was my last official day with AEW. I'd like to thank Tony Khan, Mega, or maybe that's Megan, their legal department, I believe is who that is, and all the hard-working crew. Contrary to people who's never spoken to me or have their information from people who don't know me or are trying to make themselves noticed, I had a lovely time working there and had a great time. Lots of talented wrestlers and lovely people to work for. To my fellow BCC members," is that 3C? BCC, there you go. "It was a special, albeit brief, few months, but it cemented our already strong friendship. To everyone there, thank you for welcoming me. Best wishes." So that is a very emotional final goodbye from William Regal to AEW. He is officially no longer under contract. Starting at midnight on New Year's Eve, that is midnight tomorrow night, he will officially be a part of World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. My name is BC Amplify. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this impromptu bonus video. A lot of kind of detailish type of stories I wanted to go over. And on our way out, my Amplified Gold Card members, my members on the channel, stand the fuck up, please, it is your time to be recognized for being badass and supporting the channel. To my members, you guys fucking rock. Here is your shout out, justifiably so. Much love and respect. Guys, this may in fact be the last time you see this set. We're revamping for the new year, and I believe tomorrow's SmackDown review could be audio format only. So this could be the last time seeing the bricks. So literally, we're hitting the bricks at this point. To my gold card members, man, salute to you guys, and I will, if not see you guys tomorrow, I will shoot the shit with you guys tomorrow on SmackDown's review. That'll be within the next 24 hours. All right, that's it. BC's going to double fist some coffees, a latte from Starbucks, a nice Dunkin' extra, and we're going to whoop Friday's ass. Hopefully we get a good SmackDown tonight. We can talk about it tomorrow. Okay, now, my gold card members, salute. Check you.